Hey everyone, Mariner here. Joy and welcome to the Net That Hall YouTube channel and another matchup show on what is the Lunar New Year's Day here in Singapore. So there's plenty of celebrations going on, and we're here again. We've had a bit of a break, thankfully. Recharged our batteries. I can see Gabe with a cup of coffee in the corner of my screen, and Surya's with us as well. So anyway, we'll let the guys in. How are you doing, boys?
Yeah, pretty hectic week, but then nice to finally jump into the show, partner. Yeah, and glad to see Gabe as well again. Once again, looking forward to the show.
Nice to see you guys. I'm doing well, bright and early as always. My voice is still a little froggy, a little croaky, but you know the coffee will hopefully wash that down. Let's do it.
And it's nice to see you all in red, as I asked for the
New Year.
The New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year to everybody.
There's another indicator that I got Bruno Fernandes captain right, so it's a dig at you.
Right. So you're wearing the red top for that reason, just to wind me up, then, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think we need to tell people what's going on. I think we've been going a few weeks now, so I think we'd best just get straight into it, boys. So, right, let's have a look and let's get the first team up. And I think it's we'll start with you, Gabe. Hang on a second. Let's put you on the screen. So, tell us, how did he do?
75 points. I mean, fantastic week. I think I'm very happy with that. Even with the captain blank, I'm kind of getting used to the captain blanks this season. And I went kind of last minute. I had Martinez in, and I switched it to Mendy kind of before I went to bed. I just thought while Martinez always has the upside, I thought Mendy had a pretty nailed clean sheet. I didn't know we'd have a Rudiger to contend with, and his fine finishing skills. So that was a little bit unfortunate. There's my little prince. I brought Soufal in with his 6 points. Hit one off the crossbar as well. Could have been so much more for the little prince there. Cresswell, legend, had that guy since I paid 5.1 for Cresswell in game week 9, I believe, and I've held him all the way through. I mean, Gundogan just keeps returning, doesn't he? He every single week, even with a penalty miss, he scores 13 points, which is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Son got his companion back, so he came back with a return that kind of Mourinho fooled us all. I'm sure he'll make another appearance here in the show at some point. Bruno, my vice captain. If vice captains counted for captains, I think I'm number one in the world, and that's not hyperbole. I really believe that. My vice captains this season have been out of this world. Shamefully, they don't count for anything. And then obviously the big captain fail really that broke my heart a little bit. A little piece of my heart fell off when Antonio failed to return in this past game week. All in all, 75 points, no complaints, solid green arrow. Hopefully more to come as my time runs out. 3, 2, 1.
1, 3, 2, 1. A little piece of your heart broke off when Antonio blanked. Not half as much as my heart, which fell off. I mean, that was my 4th blank in 4 weeks. God's sake. And we're going to come on to Son and the fact that, what did we say, was no pain. Oh, no Kane makes pain, wasn't it? We said last week, and then hey presto, he turned up, didn't he? I see you had the same problem as me as well. Come on to me in a minute, but Martinez on the bench.
Yeah,
we all got suckered into that one, didn't we? I think we all got suckered into that. Anyone who did that move. So yeah, but I mean, look, 75 points, 525k, I think, somewhere around that now.
Something like that.
Seem to be climbing steadily, which is excellent. So yeah, good week that, mate. I think very good. So I think now we'll come to you, Surya, and I think you've just beaten Gabe. So over to you, mate.
Yeah, I think I got 91 points, so not a bad week. So yeah, in spite of the fact that I benched Calvert-Lewin, yeah, pretty much a good score. I think Antonio was a disappointment that I got him in. I didn't captain him, which I mentioned in the expectation stream as well. But a little bit sad that he didn't return because I just wanted him to give a return. Of course, Dallas is a very great assert. Martinez with 9 pointers. So sorry for rubbing it in. Yeah, but then overall a great week. Yeah, pretty sad that I benched DCL, but no regrets there because I thought Antonio had a very good matchup and things don't work for some reason. It's fine. It's fine that it's not that bad. The bench doesn't look that bad compared to what Mariners will be. That's coming up soon. So I so I think I can. Yeah, pretty much sums up the week. Steadily climbing, and I think knocking into the 200K region now. It's around 202K. So got big plans with double game weeks coming up. So hopefully into the top 100K pretty much soon. Man, yeah, that's pretty much my week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Wow, that was quick. 35 seconds left. We can even have a bit of a whinge about a couple of things here. I mean, look. I mean, you did leave 20 points on the bench, but Kilman's 8. You didn't expect that, so yeah, I think we ignore that. I think we ignore that. Calvert-Lewin's 12, Dean 1. I can see why you benched them for obvious. It's obvious why. I mean, I see why you're doing it. I can see why you played Soucek. We'll come on to that in a few minutes. I have Dallas as well, and I have to say that was a bit of a lucky return.
Yeah, but I'll carry take it.
I mean, that's an FPL assist, isn't it? That as it goes. Yeah. But Bruno captain, albeit only for 7 points. Gundogan, Sterling, Salah, Kufal. I mean, what is it? Only 1, 2, 3 blanks.
3 blanks, yeah, 3 blanks.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, again, yeah, really, really, really good. And you're making ground. You're catching me up. I know you are. I was looking at the mini league.
Yeah, that's
I've been toppled off the top by Joe as well. I've been toppled by Joe. That's the other thing. I'm going to have a word with him tomorrow night. But let's crack on to me then and see what happens with my shower. So the red arrows are here. So I've even got the red colorings now just to match the red arrows. And yeah, another red arrow. I've dropped now to 21.6K from 5K in the last 4 weeks, which, I mean, I've got to try and stay positive. It's still a fantastic rank, but I've got to try and arrest this fall. And I think the wildcard can't come soon enough now for me. So 61 points, but look, 22 points on the bench. So the team is not bad. And I've actually managed to bench 60 points in the last 4 weeks. 6-0. I don't think I've been looking back. I don't think I've ever done that quite as. and I got suckered into this Pope move, and of course left Martinez on the bench, I should say. Calvert-Lewin, yeah, okay, I expected that. And Robertson, I didn't expect him to get anything, and he stayed on the bench anyway. But in real terms, the thing which absolutely killed me was Antonio, and I just think we'll come on to him as well in a little while. But for me, I refused to even watch the game when I saw what his stats were. I refused because we'll come on to those in a minute. But it was pretty poor, and of course I got Mike Dean as well, and we'll come on to that in a few minutes when we're talking about Soucek. So yeah, I mean, it's okay. There's still six returns, but no captaincy. All I needed was a captain return and just a different bet, and that would have been a good week. So I can't be too concerned, but at the same time, I need to arrest this. I need to arrest this slide, really. So yeah, so that's me. So okay, so I suppose we better move on now, thankfully.
No, just really quickly, like, yes, you do have 22 points on your bench, but most of them really come from 2 players. So it's just like missing out on 2 players. Like, it wasn't the time to bench boost. It's just one of those things, right?
Oh no, and I don't think, and I wouldn't have bench boosted that team. Yeah. No way. And I think that's the key. I don't think the benchings, there was sense behind the order of the team I selected. Everything I did was sensible. It just didn't work. And that's what's basically been the story of my 3 or 4 game weeks just gone. I don't think like to look back at what I've done, and I've not really found a genuine mistake yet. What I would consider is that obviously it's easy to look back at it in hindsight, isn't it? But when you look at it and you think, well, yeah, that was a real mistake. Well, I don't think I've made one. I just think it's just the way, and maybe it's my luck balancing out. I had a bit of luck at the start of the season. I had a couple of lucky captains. I remember Salah, I think, scoring just as he was about to take off to go off with a penalty, I think, at some stage. Yeah. So look, you win some, you lose some, don't you?
You started the season performing better than your expected points, and now you're regressing to the.
Yeah. It's just like bloody XG.
The thing is that you're not regressing that badly, so it's still just 15k drop in 4 weeks. I think I fall in 100k, so that's all right.
Yeah, but I have dropped 4 times. I mean, that's like you dropping from 500,000 to 2 million.
I really wish that doesn't happen.
Anyway, right. Still in it at 22k, you're still in it. At 2 million, not so much. So.
No.
That's
Okay.
what I'm.
So, as always, we'll look at the notable performances, and I'll just run through these as usual, very, very quickly. And for the game week, XG-wise, Manchester City were top at 2.69, Leeds second 2.47, then Spurs, then Man U. Big chances, Man City 5, Spurs, Leeds 4, Chelsea, Everton and Man U 3. Shots in the box, Leeds 14, Fulham 13, Burnley 12. Yeah, I put 4 asterisks next to that in my notes, by the way. Arsenal and Southampton 10. And if we look at players, XG, Gundogan 1.55. Well, he was probably always going to get 1.55 with those chances. Bamford 1.07, Ings 0.96, Kane 0.95, and then Rashford, Salah, and Son around 0.75. And XA topping the pile was Lookman with 0.93, Barkley 0.57, Rafinha 0.54, Cavani 0.54, Sterling 0.54, quite a few around 0.5. And big chances, Gundogan 3, Bamford 2, Rashford 2, Kane 2, Ings 2. And this is an interesting one, shots in the box. Bamford 5, 3 on target. Kane 5, 2 on target. Loftus-Cheek 4, none on target. Ings 4, 2 on target. Watkins 3, all on target. And Rafinha 3, 2 on target. So I think it's been an interesting week. And I think we've seen a number of players, Gabe, who we have talked up in previous weeks, starting to look like they're either due to deliver or are delivering. Would you agree with us on that?
Yeah. I think there are some rising players here that could pique our interest.
Yeah, definitely. And was there anyone who really just who jumped out to you, just very quickly through your lens?
I mean, through my lens, I really like what I'm seeing from Cavani. I mean, I think, and even aside from like all those players mentioned as well. But I think that the case of Lookman is really interesting, and I hope to get into that a little bit. Lookman does seem, quite promising, and he is kind of like there's a lot of talk around him as well. But he does take up a valuable midfielder spot, right? And there are several kind of cheap budget assets, and then with the upcoming doubles, we want to kind of maybe fill those with premium assets as they get healthy in terms of KDB and stuff like that. So I think comparing the notable performances to alternatives and what the opportunity cost of some of them are, I think is important.
Yeah. And Surya, from your perspective, did you see anyone who stood out, who you would like to just give a quick shout out?
Yeah, I think Gabe just read my mind. I think Cavani was very fantastic in my words. As in, very good asset. He's getting fitter every week, and he's looks to be amongst the things all times. Yeah, and Shaw's ever improving, and I have to take my words back that he's his attacking output has never increased in the years. It looks like Robertson is the only one who has bettered his attacking numbers when you consider the entire of the season. So Cavani is one. Lookman is another player even I felt, but then I still can't convince myself, is he worth that extra midfielder spot, because there's way too much. Gundogan is basically 0.3 or 0.4 higher than him, and I don't see wasting a spot over that. Yeah, but Cavani is the one who really stood out for me. Yeah.
And actually, there is one more that I'll mention, and that's Trent Alexander-Arnold, especially compared to Robertson.
Right.
Not in the immediate future, but looking at 26, starting with the doubles. I think a shift over to Trent and looking in Liverpool's way could be interesting.
That's interesting, because I was actually looking at Liverpool, because obviously Leicester have got a problem with Justin now, haven't they? Mm-hmm. So that might actually mean that Luke Thomas plays on the left side, and that could give Trent a bit of a nice run even this weekend. I was thinking about that earlier on, because as much as Luke Thomas did really well at the end of last season, he's not James Justin, is he? Sorry to hear about James Justin, I have to say, even though he's trolled me all season. I was really hoping to see him at the Euros, to be honest. It would have been nice to have seen him there. Moving on then. And we've got a new section this week. And this is for the Game of Thrones fans. Among us. The whole of shit. So anyway, here we go. This is the first chance that Mariner has the chance to have a bit of a joke at a few people's expense, and there's another one coming in a second. So, right, first of all, how on earth, Gabe, can Arsenal compile an XG of 0.38 from 14 shots, 10 of which were in the box?
That's Patrick Bamford does not play in Arsenal, does he? That would be the only way I could see.
How can he do it? I mean, what were they doing? Were they just shooting from a foot inside the box at the corners and just? I mean, clearly there's just bad decisions going on. It must be just bad decision making.
Well, I mean, it could be bad decision making. It could be bad technique. It could just be people like it brings to mind players like Pepe, for example.
Yeah.
Very creative and lively, unpredictable, but very wasteful players. The other reason could be blocked shots. Blocked shots typically will have low XG, and it could be shots in the box that are getting blocked. So it would take like a more detailed lens to kind of extract that.
Yeah, you can see why I picked it out though as a numbers man. And Palace conceded 14 shots in the box and 7 headers. And 4 big chances against Leeds. Oh dear. They look really like they could be ready, like lambs for the slaughter going forward, I think, at this moment in time. And I've just been looking at PremierInjuries.com, and they've got absolutely riddled with injuries as well, which doesn't help them at all. And players-wise, well, we've already our captain pick of last week, Antonio, 0 XG, 0 XA in 74 minutes. We've just mentioned him, Pepe, 0 XG, 0 XA from 3 shots in the box with none.
There it is.
I do remember him blazing one into the top of the stand. I do remember this because at this stage I was praying for a goal against Villa, because obviously I had Martinez on the bench, and I watched that game getting crosser and bloody crosser at it. Jalene was killing herself because she had Martinez in goal. Joe Linton only in 54 minutes, but 0 and 0, but it's not that surprising, really. Mahrez, 0.01 in 72 minutes.
Mahrez, his role has been very different with City recently. He's dropped back deep and wide, and then so he's almost like an outlet player. He'll be the outlet, then he'll send the ball either into the corner or kind of towards the middle, towards the box, and he assists the assister, which is really interesting from just a football perspective, but it's frustrating from an FPL perspective.
No, it's no bloody use at all from the perspective of an FPL asset. So he's dead to me at the moment. But there we go. And Lacazette, one of the guys you gave a real shout out for, Gabe, last week, 0 XG and 0.03 XA in 59 minutes.
And again, same thing with Lacazette. One of the things that I mentioned about him is that he does drop deep, but what's been happening is he'll link and then he'll link back up, forward, and he wasn't doing the second link in that game. And that's the danger with players that drop deep or forwards that drop deep if they don't get re-involved in the play.
And sorry, did you spot any members of the Hall of Shame this week who I've forgotten? I do spend quite a bit of time on this section, to be fair. It's one of the sections that I enjoy preparing the most, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I think I'm lost here, so I have no one to add over here.
You can add Liverpool 5 big chances. Alisson, top for giving the ball, passing the ball to the opposition. He's pretty good at that, wasn't he?
Brutal.
Apparently, he had cold feet. I don't know whether that meant he had cold feet, as in freezing cold feet, or he got nervous. It's the term.
Surya scored at 92. He is not in the mood to shame anybody. He's like, I'm good.
No, well, we lost. Of course, England won the cricket this week as well, so we'll talk about it later. Sorry, I meant to mention that off air to you, but you didn't come on in time. Never mind. Anyway, let's keep going. So this is the next one. We've got another section here, which some people will probably know about, and I did actually change the. We actually did a vote on this in the end. So here we go. We have a troll of the week, which is the news section. Don't feed the troll, guys. And look, this can be absolutely anyone. It's a fun pick, and it's actually picked by the community. So anyone who trolls the FPL community in a week can get a nomination. And there is really only one winner, and that's Mike Dean and VAR. Because it's what's his name? Mason wants it. Same referee as well on the VAR as it was. Who managed to send Bednarek off last week as well? I think it was the same too. Both red cards rescinded. Obviously, a red card rescinded on Pope, but we still on Soucek, but we still lose the points. If any was unlucky enough to own Bednarek and Soucek, that have been well and truly stuffed, and will definitely have voted about 100 times on this if they could have got the chance. As for Mike Dean, I'm going to come on to another point in a minute, but perhaps his days are starting to be numbered as a Premier League referee. That's my perspective. I just hope he doesn't end up in League Two, because I'm worried sick about Grimsby as it is without him turning up and refereeing Grimsby. But on a serious note, guys, I am absolutely disgusted that there has been threats to Mike Dean on the back of this. This is football, and us at Net That Hall, we do not condone any threat to any player or any referee. It's simply quite appalling. And what we're doing is just a bit of fun. So as long as people are aware of what we're doing, it's about fun. But, clearly it damaged our FPL space. It's FPL. It's not life and death. Football's not life and death. And we don't need things like this, no matter how bad it is.
Could you imagine, those when you get like a bad customer service representative on the phone or something like that, they're just not very good at their job. Could you imagine giving them a death threat because you don't like the way they're doing their job?
Look, you can be not very good. Disciplined, sacked. Yeah. I have no problem with Mike Dean being removed off the Premier League referees panel. It wouldn't bother me 1 minute. But don't go to the extent of sending his family death threats and things like that. My God, it's ridiculous.
I don't want him officiating Premier League games, but I wish the guy happiness in life. Come on.
Well, he can go and watch Tranmere. He could have gone and watched Tranmere against Grimsby this weekend, but it's just been frozen off. That's the only way we won't get beat at the moment. We're now the strongest team in the Football League, boys. We are flat bottom. We're holding everybody else up. Anyway, there we go. So that's that. So the troll of the week this week is Mike Dean and VAR. So moving on then. Right. So we'll quickly look at the fixture difficulties. We're going to really whiz through these because I want to get into the key bit of this, which is double game week 24, where the punts are going to come, and 25, where we're going to may well be wildcarding and starting to look at setting our teams up for going forwards. So if we just looked at the XG data from the last 3 weeks, and again, from the perspective of people looking at the screens, of course, we want to be looking at the greens. That's what we want. And the teams highlighted at the top are your targets, really, albeit Southampton are still skewed from that Manchester United result the other week. But the last 3 games, so we've got Manchester United, best XG per 90 minutes of 2.75. Leeds are now up to second at 2.17 and Man City third at 2.4. Burnley are still the worst at 0.67. Arsenal, second worst now, 0.68. And Palace and Sheffield United still pretty poor. And notably on XG, Chelsea are 4th best now. And Newcastle are 6th best, although I expect that's going to change again now. The other chief troll for me has legs fallen off, apparently. So seems like we're going to be without Callum Wilson for a while, which is a big blow for Newcastle, I have to say. And again, we wish him well. With respect to shots in the box in the last 3 games, Leeds top it with 11 per 90, followed by Man U and Chelsea. At the other end of the table, Palace at the bottom, 4.3. Burnley, 4.67. Could that be a 0-0 draw, boys? And notably, Spurs are now 4th worst for shots in the box conceded. Interesting enough. And big chances, Manchester United, Manchester City and Leeds. And at the wrong end of the scale, Arsenal now bottom for big chances created. Brighton and Sheffield United. And notably, Chelsea 4th best for big chances and Villa are 4th worst. And they're equal with Burnley and Palace. Now that, again, says to me, and again, I know we're talking about some of these teams going forward, but some of these teams are not in great form, right? You know, teams like Villa and things, Chelsea seem to be on the up. That's an interesting one for me. It's a team that I'd keep it. Anything you noticed on this one, guys?
Yeah, I think Chelsea have tightened in the defense very much. They're pretty solid at the back now. Shame that we don't have that much of assets to considering.
No, going forward. One player who has just popped back on the radar is Jorginho. He's back on penalties and he's 4.7 million. That might be a player to keep an eye out for going forwards, perhaps, because they do win a few penalties, as you know.
Yes.
Defensively wise, well, he's still pretty much the same as what we've been seeing. Manchester City, streets ahead of everybody else. So still well ahead. 0.48 expected goals conceded per 90, followed by Chelsea and Man U. Wolves now 4th best, 0.88. So Wolves are tightening up as well. So that's another team which we might want to be thinking about with respect to defensive assets going forward. Bad Southampton, obviously, I think they're not great anyway, but it's still skewed by the Man U. And West Brom, Everton and Palace. And shots in the box, obviously Manchester City very good, Chelsea, Man U and Wolves again. And bad Palace at the bottom, followed by Villa and Everton. And West Ham now starting to drop into the zone. And big chances created on the positive side. City big chances conceded, I should say. City, 1 big chance conceded in every 3 games. I think that's very, very telling, considering one of those games was against Liverpool. Right? Yeah. So if you think about it like that, that tells you, I think, that green, which you can see on the screen there, it really does mean they are fairly fixture proof at this moment with respect to the defence, which makes me wonder why I don't own more than one. But anyway, there we go. Chelsea are improving as well.
Yeah,
second best now for big chances conceded, and on the negative side of things, Southampton still worse, as I said, skewed. West Brom, Everton, Sheffield United equals second worst, and then Liverpool. So a lot of these numbers they're starting to show that some teams are on the slide and some teams are on the rise. I think, Gabe, Wolves, interesting one. I think we might be touching on them later, but what's your perspective?
I mean, Wolves have changed their style of play. I think they're playing more of a counterattack style now, and so that's leading to them being more solid at the back and more in line with numbers we've seen in seasons past and recent seasons past. So it's really just, it's not even about a change of personnel or anything like that. Part of it could be maybe getting Adama further up the field, but it's really just, instead of Nuno spoke at the beginning of the season that they wanted to be more adaptive and be able to play some possession style football as well, and that really wasn't working for them. The team is not built for that. So I think their style of play is responsible for their defensive solidity. One team I wanted to mention that's kind of sneakily kind of creeping up here on the defensive side, and I believe it's because their offense has improved so much, is Newcastle. Newcastle is a team that's shifting to the green. If you look at the Newcastle defense, that should be all red.
It was the other way.
That's right. Newcastle, they've conceded the second fewest big chances in the last 4 game weeks, the same as Chelsea. So they've only conceded 4 big chances in the last 4. What else here? Their XG conceded is third best in the last 4 at 3.57. So that change in shape means that they're having more possession and they're attacking teams more, so putting teams on the defensive, and that's helping relieve pressure from their defense. So Newcastle, I think, is an interesting mover in the FDR here.
It's just, so again with the Fraser as well coming into a bit of form as well. So Maximan coming back as well now, probably finally over his COVID. It's a shame for Newcastle that they've lost Callum Wilson, but it could be the making for Dwight Gale. You never know. I quite like Dwight Gale. He's one of those players who always looks like he's going to create something for me. But anyway, let's see. So that's that bit. So let's keep going, and we're going to go on to the main feature. And we're already behind schedule, boys. But anyway, we'll manage.
I'll try to zip through this.
Don't you worry about that. But this is the most important thing. We'll cut other bits out. So anyway, just to set the scene, guys. So as you know, we're all hitting a pretty critical point now of the season with the onset of not one double game week, not 2, but potentially 4 in the next 4. So it's almost unheard of, and clearly it's as a result of the terrible things going on in the UK with respect to the virus and this, that, and the other. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to deal with what we can face, which is what we know about. So we only really know for sure about the double game weeks in 24 and 25. We've got some good ideas with respect to 26 and onwards. But the idea of this section is we're going to look at possibly players who you may want to have a punt at in 24, who you may want to set up your team perhaps with 25, with a particular emphasis on value, and potentially players who you might not necessarily have considered normally. Because a lot of people will be, like me probably, will probably be wildcarding next week. So this week, if you've got a couple of transfers, is possibly perfect for a bit of a punt. So we're going to have a look at Burnley, we're going to have a look at Leeds, we're going to have a look at Fulham and Southampton. So we'll start, as always, with Ben Crellin's spreadsheet, which, I mean, in Ben Crellin we trust. I have to say, I listened to a podcast this morning, and it just said, don't even try to compete with Ben Crellin for understanding this. Don't even try to even understand it. Just wait for Ben. And I think that's the best thing we can do, really, because he knows what he's on about. So obviously we can see the double game weeks in yellow. And so we've got City, Everton, Burnley, and Fulham double game weeks in 24, and we've got Southampton, Leeds in 25, and then going forwards, we know now that we've got single game weekers in 26: Leeds, Brighton, Newcastle, Arsenal, West Ham, and we know that the following teams are playing in 29: Fulham, Leeds, Brighton, Newcastle, Arsenal, and West Ham. Now, the interesting development is Southampton may have a treble double in 25, 26, and 27. And Spurs and Villa may be the teams who play and have a double in 26, but also for people like me who do not have their free hit, may have given you a get out of jail free card because they may well play in 29. Now that can, if you've been holding your free hit card for 29, maybe all is not lost, Gabe. We were talking off air about this a minute ago. Do you want to just give that perspective very quickly?
Yeah, so really quickly here, I think people that were that already used their free hit, they got a get out of jail out of free card, right? But the people that were saving their free hit, I think we just received a potential potentially a big boost in terms of now 29. We're not forced to use it in our free hit in 29. We can actually plan for 29, just like the people that don't have it, and use it potentially in game week 33. In game week 33, we have several kind of big teams with with good matchups. Liverpool is one of them that have difficult matchups on either side of 33. So we could kind of load up with players that we wouldn't normally have because of the otherwise difficult fixtures, and we can load up specifically for that game week. So for players like me that have a free hit and that are looking to maybe make up some rank, I think that could be a nice little boost for us.
No, I agree. It's about playing the long game, isn't it? And I think the most difficult thing at the moment is even now, we are still, if you look at, if people's eyes are drawn to the screen, look at the brown in 26. That's very likely. Then the light brown, possible. We don't know yet. We still don't know who's playing who. So it's extremely difficult to predict things. So I'm hoping that as a wild card who's possibly going to pull the wild card in 25, I'm hoping that the double game week fixtures will be announced sometime next week. If not, it could be carnage. Then we're down to looking for which direction the wind's blowing in and things like that, I think. But and very quickly, just before we move into the main aspect of this, I've not done a full fixture difficulty this week. I've just concentrated on the single game weekers for game week 24 and the double game weekers. And of course, again, we're looking for the greens. So I mean, for a single game week perspective, Manchester United stand out as the best attacking option by a distance. Hardly surprising, it's West Brom. From this respect to defensive-wise, Chelsea, again, Manchester United and West Ham look pretty good, probably based on matchups as usual. And on the double game week, so the double game week teams, Burnley look like they've got one pretty good fixture defensively and one possibly not so, because Fulham are a little bit more of a lot more of an attacking side than Palace, I think we can safely say. Obviously, Everton don't have great matchups, and possibly even worse now with DCL missing. Yes, although Rodriguez plays up front, I don't know. I've just seen a predicted lineup from Fantasy Football Hub, which was talking about Rodriguez playing up top. That might be quite interesting. And Dean may be fit, but we don't know. Fulham are about average, middling, nothing, no matchups here or there. But obviously Manchester City, a sea of green as usual. Just quite frankly good for everything. So that's where your Cancelo of this world is, I think, absolutely essential for this week for sure. Because as we say, for the average fixtures, it's those attacking defenders we really like. And then looking at 25, Leeds look really good attacking wise. In fact, they don't look terribly defensively, actually. Southampton don't look particularly good, but we know why. Because the numbers are still skewed, so it's hard to say. But and the reason I've done this, if you look at the bottom, I've just done the Southampton season stats against the Southampton recent stats, and you can say they're nearly twice as bad as they were for the whole season. So that just shows it that's not as far out as you may think. I don't think we're confining Southampton defensive assets to the trash bin just yet. Is my perspective. So that's the matchups. That's the FDR. Surya, anything you wanted to spot on this before we move in? Before we let Gabe loose?
Yeah, I think one thing is that Southampton is still pretty much skewed, and the fact that most of the players are returning, I think we shouldn't look too much into the matchups, I would say, because Ings is again getting those big chances. I think 0.9 xG last game. I think he did fail to convert those chances, but then he's beginning to get them, and Minamino is again there. Yeah, so Southampton assets could be trusted. So even I'm looking at them for my team, and yeah, that's one thing. Too much should we look to Southampton is what I would say. I would add,
yeah. No, I mean, I think Ings is probably the best person to look at. I am looking at KWP actually as well going forwards. I quite like a look of him. Obviously, Leeds, we've got Rafinha, Dallas, Bamford, Harrison.
Harrison too is a good pick. I think
Harrison, another one, and even I'm going to throw this one in. Strike.
Yeah, 3.9.
3.9.
Yeah.
Could be a cheap way in. Obviously, City, we don't need to talk. I've written Gundogan, Sterling, and Foden down for attack, and obviously defence we know, and Burnley. Well, we've obviously got Pope, me, Tarkowski, cheap option, and there is just a rumor of a Barnes train starting, but we'll come on to that in a minute. We'll come on to that. So, okay. Gabe, we've been awash. Twitter's been awash with gifs of white smoke, the coming of the Pope, and also the talk of doubling and even trebling on Burnley assets. As I said, there's a mention of a Barnes train. Are you going to get on it? Let's hear what you've got to say on Burnley.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the Pope has been summoned for sure, and with good reason here. I just to start off, so there's a reason why we're all talking about Burnley defensive assets, right? Where I think we kind of lose ourselves or get overly excited in the kind of Burnley craze is when we start talking about their attacking potential actually their attacking potential. Period. I don't want Barnes. And even the talk of, well, this defender has more attacking potential than another defender. This is Burnley we're talking about. These are not attacking defenders. So we're getting them for the clean sheets and for the potential bonus. In my opinion, there is some hope. There's always some hope for some attacking returns, but I think we're barking up the wrong tree when we're talking about attack, when we're combining attack and Burnley. But here's what. So to focus on Burnley's defense, here's where we start. And their first matchup is not their first matchup. Sorry, their last matchup is against West Brom, and this is their matchup in game week 25. So they have a double this week, and then they go right into West Brom in 25, which is really nice and makes their assets very appealing. The reason this map is up on the screen here is just to show Brighton are about mid-table in terms of chances created over the season. And I just wanted to compare West Brom's chances created to kind of the median, the one that's right in the middle. And look how many fewer chances they've created this season. That's I'd say about half of the chances that Brighton have created. So they don't create many chances, which is great obviously for the defense here. West Brom have a league low XG of 16.25 in 23 games. And so that's just not very good. So it screams clean sheet. So if it screams clean sheets, the player, and if you look at Burnley's players, the player that has by far the most points is Pope, because he's nailed, because he's healthy, and because of the bonus points. So I think Pope is the guy when it comes to this West Brom matchup. Next.
Right. Okay.
All right, here's the just kind of we're working backwards in chronologically here. This is the Fulham matchup for Burnley, and on the left side here we have the chances conceded heat map, and on the right side we have the chances created or the chances conceded for Burnley, and then the chances created for Fulham. Now we see in the where the black circles are, those black circles indicate where Burnley kind of concede. But Fulham don't typically generate chances from those areas where Burnley concedes. So I like this matchup for Burnley because Fulham do create chances. You can see the purple square on the outside of the box there. Those chances from outside the box are magnificent for Pope because they are low XG chances that Pope could really just rack up saves. Fulham take shots, they really do, but their shots are not high XG shots. So I really like Pope on the bonus points here. You'll see that purple line connecting the two purple squares. That's kind of like the only place where I see Fulham could have some success here against Burnley. But again, this is like a extremely tenuous. This is something like as a coach, if I'm looking at this, I would say, well, there could be a danger of linking those two areas where they create chances, but I'm not even gonna predict that it's gonna happen, but I would keep my eye on it as a coach.
Yeah.
Next
slide. Right, there we go. Oh, never moved it.
There we don't go.
I jumped past one. Let me just go back. I'm just double checking that. No, right. Hang on, mate. Sorry, buddy. There we go. And then the next slide. So we're moving to Fulham now.
Right.
I think. I don't know if I've lost one there. I mean, anyway, maybe not. Moving to the Fulham side of things, then Gabe. Matchups, they've got Everton, Burnley. Fulham look like a team to me we're only really going to consider for attacking returns. Are you with me on that one?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, really quick, the last piece on Burnley, there wasn't really a slide for it, but it was regarding the Crystal Palace matchup, and Palace have conceded the 6th most headed chances this season, which is, but unfortunately Wood is out. If Wood were healthy, I think I would definitely consider him, but not so interested in Ashley Barnes. But it is a good matchup against Palace. So as you mentioned earlier, so.
Could be a 0-0 draw, though, couldn't it?
That's what I would expect. Honestly, I kind of expect all 3 of Burnley's next fixtures: Palace, Fulham, West Brom. I expect them all to be 0-0, to be perfectly honest.
but it's going to be a hard watch. It's going to be a very hard watch.
Yeah, it's going to be it is going to be a tough watch, and I mean, there's one reason why I think we're going to come on to Nick Pope. I think he comes back up in further in the chats as we go forward as well. But again, for me, it's not a game that's going to be high on my list to want to watch, quite frankly. Okay. So Fulham, Gabe.
Here with Fulham and to the Lookman conversation, and I wanted to compare him because I've been intrigued. Bobby De Cordova Reed, BDR. He's been catching my eye lately as I just see him making like some penetrating runs. He's had a goal recently. So I kind of like turned my eye to him and how he compares to Lookman. One, I like that he's a forward. Lookman, being a midfielder, there's so many other midfield options. So Lookman has a lot of competition for the midfield spots. But looking at Reed versus Lookman here, Lookman is definitely more involved in the play. He's he's involved more in midfield. He's involved in the build-up. He touches the ball a lot more, as we can see by the touch heat map. And then as we move on to the the passes in the final third, again confirms it. Lookman much more involved. But then when we go to the shots heat map, we can see the concentration of shots that BDR is getting in the box, and then compare it to Lookman, much fewer shots and certainly and around the perimeter. Again, those shots, Lookman's shots around the perimeter, are why I like Pope in the matchup. But when we're looking at Fulham in terms of attacking options, I think BDR could offer some sneaky value here. As I think maybe the cheapest. He's not completely nailed. He will get some rest, but he'll play 90 in maybe 2 out of 3 matches. And at 5, I believe he's 5.3 million. I think could offer some really nice value in these matchups that they have coming up. So the matchups against Everton, the first matchups against Everton, and Everton are very susceptible to chances from the flanks, and the fact that BDR works more on the flanks than Lookman, I think speaks to him in this matchup. The next matchup is obviously Burnley. We've already spoken about Burnley, but if he can kind of like get in the box and in behind that back line, I think he could. BDR could have some chances. And then Sheffield United. Sheffield United have actually. This is the Burnley matchup. Forgot about this slide. So thanks for bringing it up. You can see I circled where Burnley concede chances on the map on the right, and then where BDR is located, and I've circled where BDR is located. So that kind of matches up nicely with for BDR in the Burnley matchup, in the Everton matchup, and in the Burnley matchup. I think it matches up pretty nicely.
Okay. So that's the that one. So next we're going to have a quick look at Southampton. So now I mentioned earlier this treble double is particularly interesting to me. They are quite fresh from a Mike Deaning, so to speak. So, and we know what happened when Southampton got thrashed last season as well. They turned the season round, didn't they? After a similar sort of humbling experience. As I've said, on the fixture difficulty, they really have completely melted my stats. I can't. Nothing works with them at the moment on the back of that one, quite freak performance. Where are we going with them, Gabe?
When looking at Southampton, I don't think it's they're I think it's all about their attack right now until you mentioned KWP and they are getting healthy. I wouldn't be interested in Southampton defensive assets until they are healthy, but they're so close to that they might be worth a medium to long-term investment. But I focus my kind of analysis here on comparing Danny Ings and Shea Adams. So at first, the first thing we have is a touch heat map, and the touch heat map, it shows kind of Danny Ings all over the place, touching the ball, kind of spread out all throughout the field, whereas it shows Adams quite concentrated on the right side of the top of the box there. But that didn't really jive with what I was seeing, right? It didn't. The eye test didn't really show that. I didn't see Adams as static in one spot, only receiving the ball in one spot. So I brought up the passes received heat map, and in the passes received heat map, which is just below the touches heat map, then we see I think a more accurate representation of what we see in the games. We see Adams is involved. Actually, he does get even behind midfield and looks to like win the ball and link play from back there. Whereas Danny Ings, most of his action is in the final third, and I think that's promising for him. We see in the radar map there, Danny Ings in green and Shea Adams in blue. These radar maps are from understat.com, by the way. I use Understat as a quick reference, and I like their design as well. So just seeing this quick reference, they're quite similar. Danny Ings and Shea Adams. Shea Adams is a little bit more involved in the passing element and creating chances, whereas Danny Ings has a much more of a goal threat. But they're quite similar except for that goals per 90 number, which and the shots per 90 is a little bit higher for Danny Ings as well. So Danny Ings is really the target here. And if you string together kind of their matchups, I think over that you mentioned the series of doubles that they have coming up. So I think that could be a good investment. So speaking of those matchups, that was Great timing. I think we're getting the hang of this thing here. That's really good.
You need to send some form of electric shock or something down the scene. Maybe you wake up here and change the slide over.
Here we have, this is the first matchup, the Wolves matchup. So Wolves, we talked about, have been much better defensively because of the change in the style of play. And there are two areas of the field where they concede the few chances they concede, where they concede them from. And one is marked in the green circle, and the other is marked in the with the green rectangle. The green circle, you can see on the left, the Southampton creates chances from both those areas. So those areas kind of line up there. And so as Wolves are not an easy matchup, they kind of line up nicely for Southampton in particular. If Southampton can get some kind of consistency with their team, if they don't get Mike Dean again, I think Southampton could see some nice action here in this matchup.
Okay, so right, so moving on, we're just going to finish on this section, I think, with a quick look at the fixture in 25, which is the Southampton and the Leeds fixture. Now, I mean, I think the simplest thing to look at this is actually just to ask a few questions and just to talk about it. And I think we'll come to both of you here. Is firstly, Gabe, I've clearly got a lot of interest in potentially somebody like Danny Ings. Is how do you consider his matchup for the Leeds match? There is still talk of Danny Ings. I've heard it on a few. Danny Ings is he's not there. He's not back to form. But we know what Danny Ings can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And he scored last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
So are we looking at Danny Ings as being a good option for this Leeds matchup, Gabe? What's your opinion first?
I think Danny Ings is actually finding some form. You read some stats initially. At the beginning of the show, I believe on Danny Ings, I forget how many, like he had pretty high XG.
Yeah, he accumulated 0.9 XG last game. Yeah.
Right. So I think while Southampton don't look good, we're kind of not really seeing Danny Ings, but Danny Ings is looking good. And so I would argue that he is in good form. The conversation, I think, in this matchup is that Leeds have been much better defensively recently. They've been much better defensively. In the last four, they're kind of middle of the pack for XG conceded, big chances conceded. The one thing that they are the worst at is chances conceded from the center zone. Leeds have conceded the most chances from the center zone, with 22 chances from the center zone in the past 4 game weeks. And that's why I like Danny Ings. So I think Danny Ings is being a little bit overlooked because of Southampton's form, while his form is actually good. And Leeds is not, they're not the whipping boys that they were, a month ago or a month and a half ago. But where he is, I think he'll find some pay dirt there.
Yeah. I'd say he really interests me, and I think potential for Danny Ings playing. Well, he might not play all 6 games, but he'll probably be involved in 6. He'll probably be involved in 6 games. I would say over 3 game weeks has got me licking my lips. To be honest, I'm really interested in that one. Surya, question for you: If we are trebling up on Leeds in game week 25, which 3 would you treble up with?
Yeah, that's a pretty straightforward answer. It should be Bamford, Dallas, and Rafinha. I think that's pretty straight. But then if you think Leeds wouldn't, of course, I do have Dallas for the fact that he's more of an attacking asset than a defensive asset. But of course, I've been telling this for a very long time. Jack Harrison is a very good asset, and I think as Lens, he wrote in the matchup thread on the blog, the matchup is looking good for Harrison better than, in fact, Rafinha. So I think Harrison is again a very good shout, and I think a lot of people aren't considering him. But the best 3 would be Bamford, Dallas, and Rafinha. But the 4th one would be very closely Jack Harrison. Yeah.
Gabe, we mentioned Harrison. Do you want to add on that at all?
Yeah. So I agree with Surya, by the way. I think Dallas playing out of position these days. Rafinha, the best player on the team, and Bamford, the player that's getting the chances, are the three obvious choices. But in the upcoming matchups, like Surya mentioned, I do like Harrison more than Rafinha. Just because of the matchups, just because those teams concede more on the right side than they do on the left side. And they concede kind of on the right side in behind the defense towards the end line there, the touch line. So and Jack Harrison with his speed, I think he can burst into that space and find something good there.
Harrison more likes to cut in more than Rafinha. Rafinha likes to cross it more compared. So that matchup is actually really looking good for Harrison. But yeah, anyone who looks to punt on Harrison, I think he's a very good pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Right. We'll keep moving. Just to give everybody the advice, obviously, your article, Gabe, is on the All About FPL website.
Yep.
Which is Surya's website. So it's www.allaboutfpl.com, and that's where Gabe puts all the blurb behind it all, as well as all the diagrams. So if you want to go and get some more information on that, and I've got a frog in my throat now, then please do. So okay, so on with the show. But that was really interesting, Gabe. Thank you. And we come to Soucek Watch, as usual. So, as we say, it's always for potato salad lovers everywhere. And it's the headed matchups. And where are we this week? So we will put it on the screen for you. And I've highlighted the matchups, what look good. But first of all, let's just talk about what happened last week. Well, my prediction was Antonio, epic fail. Gabe, Bamford, you got a return, albeit with his foot. So can't really count that. And as for Sean, he went for a Palace defender, I think, to start with, and then I don't know if he changed his mind and went for DCL. I think who did get a return, but we have to go with his first. We have to go with his first answer. It's like a quiz. So yeah, but yeah, looking at this week. What of interest I spotted? Well, Burnley are coming up against teams who have conceded the most headed chances in the last 6. Both of them. Palace 4 chances per 90 and Fulham 3.43 per 90. I think the problem is, Gabe, here. Are they going to stick them away? I think that's the problem. I think it's the fact that they're coming up against a very weak. A couple of quite weak defences with respect to conceding headers, yet I'm not convinced whether they can actually put them away. Do you agree? Totally,
100%. Just because a team is conceding chances doesn't mean the other team can score on them.
No, exactly. Yeah. So I just think that. So that was my first view immediately. So I'm not quite sure whether I'm, for example, prepared to spend the extra on a Ben Mee or a Tarkowski over perhaps a Loughton, if that's what I was thinking of doing this week. Everton also come up against Fulham without DCL, which is a shame because I think he would have been my tip. Otherwise for this. And Chelsea, who are 7th best for headers created, come up against Newcastle, who are 4th worst. Mm-hmm. So there's my tip. My tip this week is Tammy Abraham.
Scored yesterday as well.
Yeah, he looks like he's getting quite a bit of game time now, and he's fairly strong in the air. So I'm going to go with Tammy Abraham this week.
Question for you on that pick, Mariner. Do you? Given the matchup,
should I pick Giroud?
Yeah,
possibly. Yeah, I did think that.
If I were Thomas Tuchel, I would pick Giroud.
Yeah, he might well do. But I'm going to go with Tammy Abraham because I just think form-wise, I like the look of Abraham. He looks like he's, for me anyway. But I might be wrong. So we'll see.
I think we should just make it the Chelsea not number 9, the Chelsea forward. Just to
right, the Chelsea forward. Right,
that's the idea. Yeah.
You're building me some wriggle room here, Gabe. Thanks very much, mate.
I got your back.
Surya, who are you going to go for this week in this headed matchups?
Yeah, so I think numbers doesn't back this up that much, but I am gonna stick with Edison Cavani because I think
Love
of course the numbers show a different story, but I do feel the connection between Luke Shaw and Cavani is ever improving. And for the fact that you guys stated, just because the team is conceding headers, it doesn't mean the other one is gonna score, or same fact that just because they don't concede, it doesn't mean that one good cross could be converted. You never know. One quality cross is going to be converted. Yeah,
it is a bit of fun at the end of the day, but I think Cavani's a great shout. They have got a positive matchup though, 2.5 there, so it is feasible. Gabe, I think he stole your thunder.
No.
Have you changed your mind now?
No, well, I did. I woke up this morning with a different thought, and I'm glad I did because it's my neighbor, my Colombian neighbor, Jerry. Don't call me Jerry Mina.
Jerry Mina.
Jerry Mina.
Absolutely, he could bury one, couldn't he?
Yeah, I mean the guy's like 7'50", and he's just massive. Jerry Mina for me.
My heart's still only just recovered from that World Cup match where he scored in the death against England. I do remember that very, very well indeed. Much to my disgust, I have to say.
I celebrated that one pretty hard.
Oh, thanks, mate. Okay, so that's that's Soucek Watch. So we'll keep an eye on how we do next week. And Gabe, Little Prince this week. Last week we said we got the Little Prince. I suppose we got a clean sheet, and he could have had so much more in Kufal.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling we've already spoken about this gentleman. Who is it this week?
So I wrote the matchups article this week, and it was, it's a collect. All of them are Little Prince picks, right? They're all, but the littlest Prince of all, that's who I'm going to pick. And I did speak about him, and I think you could probably tell my infatuation with this guy, and it's Bobby de Cordova-Reid. It's super out there. I love the fact that he's just a cheap forward. I've been looking for this cheap forward, somebody to get rid of the half-man Brewster for. There's another Game of Thrones reference for any Game of Thrones fans out there when they're chanting for Tyrion, half-man. That's what Brewster is. So BDR is my Little Prince pick of the week.
So do we need a many-faced god as well then, or something like that at some stage? We're going to have to think who that is, really, if we're on the Game of Thrones analogies.
Well, there's another one, and it's hidden in the matchup spread, and it comes up when I do the hashtag numerology because it was like 7, and it's the 7 from Game of Thrones.
All right. We're turned into a Game of Thrones podcast now. Oh God!
I've read all the books twice, so I'm.
Right. Well, we'll have to see whether we're going to be dragged down the with a bell ringing shame again for next week, because we will be in the Hall of Shame if our tips fail. I'm afraid.
Be forced to walk naked down the streets.
Yeah, well, and speaking of shame and the Hall of Shame, well, the only one who failed last week was the cat. Idiot. In fact, he made it onto the vote for the Troll of the Week as well. But community poll: Bruno, Metric, Bruno, Catpick, Antonio, Differential, Rafinha. My differential paid off.
Yeah.
So that's. We're doing quite well with that differential. I think the only time we've failed with that differential is when Surya gave us one.
That's Matthew's fair.
It was a bad one. You should have got the wrong. We should have gone for the other Pereira, but it still wouldn't have made any difference. But it might have sounded nicer anyway.
That's the last time I was trusting Big Sam, and that's it. He's done. I am not trusting him any further. Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, not to worry. So right, let's have a look at the Metric against the Mariner, and the Metric now is screaming ahead after my 4 epic fails. Look at this: Antonio, Salah, Gundogan, Bruno. I mean, again, not bad picks, but just no luck. So no, I'm behind now, and I'm starting slowly but surely to move back towards where I was last year, which is worrying me a little bit. So I need to turn this round now. So my concern is I've broken my rule twice now, which is I only captain premiums, and I've done it twice and failed twice. And that's something which is making me really think about this week, actually, because I made a rule at the start of the season. I broke it for Gundogan, and I thought it was worth breaking it for Gundogan. And equally, I thought it was probably through chasing it. I thought I'd then try and chase Antonio's points as well. And sometimes when you push a little bit too hard, it goes wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah. If I can suggest though, like you said, you've been on a slide for the last 4 game weeks, and you feel the need to wild card. You've also had 4 captain blanks in the last 4. And
that's true.
The other 2 captain blanks were premiums.
Yeah.
So even rules go wrong every once in a while.
I'm still not. I just feel I need to freshen up almost. I said Mrs. Marin has freshened her team up. Mrs. Marin freshened her team up the other week. She got 25 points the first week, and then she did 100, and then another 80 or 90. I think she's got nearly 200 points in the last 2 game weeks. Crazy. But now she's lost Justin now, so that's one of her players gone. But anyway, that's on to other stuff. So the metrics now in front of me. Going to the Catpick this week. Sorry, he's disappeared. The Catpick. Here he is. The shortlist I gave was Gundogan, Sterling, Bruno, and Pope, and I gave it in the order that I thought it would come out in, and it actually did. But we mentioned yesterday, Gabe, when we were chatting, we thought, would the news on Gundogan have a bit of a negative effect because there was rumours of Rodri being injured, wasn't there? It turns out it sounds like it's okay, but there was rumours that he was injured. It didn't make much difference. It made 1% difference. Gundogan dropped by 1%. Sterling went up by 1%, and there was a third more votes went in. So it hasn't changed much. So I think Gundogan is a standout captaincy option this week with respect to the community. In fact, Manchester City are. And it's hardly surprising, even though those matchups those fixtures are not particularly, they don't scream goals. Certainly, either of them. But at the same time, I think it's just the draw of the double fixture.
I will say, I don't know. I think, for example, the Everton fixture, City love to play on the flank. Yeah. And the Everton fixture, to me, screams goals. I'm
going to come on to the Everton fixture. It's the Everton fixture where I think the goals are going to be.
Yeah.
And I'll come on to that when I talk about the metric in a minute.
I don't even know why I have Dina in my team. I don't know. I really don't know why I have Dina in my team.
Well, me neither. Well, I know why I've got Dina in my team, because Gabe taught me to put it in.
Yeah.
So that's Gabe's fault.
What are you guys doing with Dean still on your team? I got rid of him right away, right after that.
Can you believe this?
I'm scared. Yeah.
Right. We need a little bit of a straw poll in the comments. Do we put Gabe onto the troll of the week for next week? I think. Anyway.
Hey, after Antonio, the Antonio captain thing fiasco, and I think it's fair. I'll take it.
Well, fiasco. Anyway, enough. Whilst we're on the word fiasco, let's have a look, see what the Cats picked this week. He actually only had a choice of 2. I only gave him 2 this week. I just thought that Bruno was just that little bit far away. I think it was a fairly solid first and second, even though, I do know, and I've heard that there are people who will be captaining Bruno this week. And I'm not saying it's a bad one, but I'm not. The Cat would probably have picked him. So anyway, let's have a look, see who the Cat goes for this week. It just gets worse. These things get worse. We recorded this one outside. We just had our dinner outside, sat outside. And again, look at him.
Every time we do a big start, yeah.
Kicking up his ass again.
Starting to go on strike.
Oh, he's on demand.
Yeah, I know. Hurry up. Gundogan.
Yeah,
So
I think,
there we go. So he went with Gundogan. So that's who the Cats picked. Eventually, after I kicked him up the arse about 3 times to get him to, he wears this cone at the moment. So when we take the cone off him, because he's got this allergy, so when we take the cone off him, all he wants to do is clean himself. He don't want to go and eat. So that's the reason why we have to kick him a few times. Anyway,
can I just mention something really quick?
Yeah.
Our guests here and the people in the chat, I think they're only here for the Oliver pick.
Yeah, look at it.
They love the cat pick. It's like they're going nuts on the chat right now.
It does. It peaks. The time peaks around the cat pick. It's amazing. It's got a bit of a cult following, really, but I think it's a bit of light. I honestly think it's a real bit of light relief given some of the stresses and strains that we've been going through with FPL. I have to say, it's. I don't think I've done a season like it. I really haven't. But anyway, well, I'm pleased they enjoy it, and I'm also there we go. Only Oliver, bye now. As I said, I still couldn't get over last week when they said it was the best part of the show. Anyway, not to worry. Anyway, I suppose some people might be interested in the metric, so let's put the metric up and see what happens. And the person who tops the metric is Gundogan.
Yes.
He tops the metric. Now, I have modified the metric this week. I'm unwilling to leave it the way it is because we simply cannot ignore the fact that some teams play twice and other teams play once. So what I've done after discussion, just to let people know what we've done here, is after discussion with Gabe, we've decided to put a 1.5 multiplier in with respect to the expected points and with respect to the returns. So that's how it's working. So the fixtures is an average, but there is a multiplier in for the other. But interestingly enough, look, it's close.
Yeah.
It's very close. That tells me that Bruno is not a bad shout at all.
Yeah.
This week. Not a bad shout at all. Because the fixture is with Bruno, but there are 2 fixtures. There are 2 chances, or perhaps 3 halves out of 4, which is what we're working on for City to get returns. So if we just look through the players, and we'll just talk through them one by one, guys, I think it's a nice way of looking at this. First of all, if we look at the fixture for City, so they're going to fixtures. They're playing Tottenham, and as we've said, this is not an easy match. They're 8th best for expected goals conceded, 7th best for big chances. 7 chances for big chances, but they're 5th worst for shots in the box conceded. Interesting enough, but Everton, they are 3rd worst.
Can I say something real quick on that stat? The shots in the box conceded. If you can concede shots in the box against City,
that's what I'm thinking.
You're toast, and that's the one thing you don't want to concede against City. So I think it's actually a decent matchup. I think City has 2 very favorable matchups.
Yeah, it's not as good as the Everton one, but I know what you're saying because it's the one thing which I thought of as shots in the box. Well, City are likely to stick those away, and then Everton expected goals conceded 3rd worst, 1.75 in every 90. Big chances conceded 3rd worst, 2.67 in every 90, and shots in the box 3rd worst. So that Everton fixture is looking the most favourable, definitely. And Gundogan, XG 0.52. This is the last 3 game weeks against Sterling 0.8. XA 0.4 for Gundogan against Sterling 0.38. Shots in the box 1 per 90 for Gundogan, 2 for Sterling. Big chances 1 for Gundogan, 1.5 for Sterling, and big chances created 0.67 per match, and that's 2nd best for overall for Gundogan. and 0.5 for Sterling. So I'd really like to know what you're thinking. I'll tell you where I am. Because I've broken my rule twice. I'm not breaking it again. So it looks like I will bring Sterling in and captain him. But I'd be very interested to know what your perspective is on who is the best option here, because I think it's pretty tight, actually.
What do you think, Surya? I want to hear.
Yeah, I think Gundogan is. I think fixture-wise, Gundogan would prefer the Spurs game because he likes to shoot outside the box, and Everton and Spurs are conceding shots. So and Sterling is someone who cuts from the flanks, and Everton concede a lot from the flank. So the Everton fixture favors Sterling more, and Spurs fixture favors Gundogan more. And I do believe Sterling would start the bigger, tougher fixture and be benched for the easier one. That's against Everton. If that's the case, I think Sterling might not be a good option, because I do own both of them already in my team. So it's a bit of a bigger dilemma for me, and I do have Bruno Fernandes as well. So it's three of them that's in my mind. But my heart says Gundogan, just for the fact that Spurs are declining and declining rapidly, and of course removing the West Brom. West Brom didn't attack at all. That attack was nullified. But before that West Brom game, they looked pretty ordinary, and numbers are declining for Spurs. And I think the thought process of Sterling starting a bigger game and being most likely to be benched against for the Everton fixture makes me go Gundogan over Sterling. And for another fact that the UCL games are coming, and Sterling often started the UCL games, the group stages. This season, he was benched a couple of Premier League games to be started in the Champions League. So keeping all that in mind, I do feel I'm 90% going Gundogan over Sterling. Yeah, and another good indicator is that he's topping the metric. So yeah, that's
yeah. I mean, I would just say that Gundogan has played every minute of the last 3 league games, and Sterling has only played 2 out of the last 3. Yeah. Both of them were withdrawn within a minute of each other against Swansea. Gabe, would you like to add anything there?
I mean, the one thing I'll say, yes, Sterling does have 8 shots inside the box in the last 4 compared to Gundogan's 4, for example. So I agree 100% with Surya's assessment regarding the matchup. For me, I think if being inside the top 100K, I would probably captain Gundogan because he's more highly owned. Outside the top 100K to gain some ground, I'd probably go with Sterling because he's more of a differential. And for somebody I wouldn't, if you have 3 Man City assets already, I would not shift them around to bring like Sterling in or to go Gundogan to Sterling or anything like that. Yeah. Go with what you have. If you are looking to bring somebody in, I think it depends on for me, the way I play, it would depend on my rank. There's more risk with Sterling because you could argue that 2 of Sterling's shots, because he's such an awful shooter, equals 1 of Gundogan's shots, so it balances out.
Oh God! Yeah. Oh God! I can hear it. I can see it all going wrong again. Oh God! But look, I'm quite convinced. I think Sterling has the highest ceiling, and that's why I'm going. That's my perspective. Yeah. So anyway, but I will have to bring him in to do that, and I've got to decide who to take out yet. That's another discussion for another day. I mean, Bruno, I think we can all agree Bruno is a pretty good option.
Yeah.
Even though he has a single game week, given just the fact that West Brom are just so bad.
Yeah.
Without going through the numbers, but can you see? Would you be against somebody captaining Bruno against Gundogan or Sterling?
Not at all. Not at all. For the fact that the guys who watched the Spurs game, you would know Kane was given acres of space. I think he was given the license to shoot and shoot and shoot. If you give Bruno Fernandes that, if that's the case for a player returning from injury, just consider the fact that the player who's in form has scored 13 goals this season. If you give Bruno Fernandes that space, and he didn't even score a normal goal. He in fact scored a world class one. I think that finish was insane. Yeah, if you're giving Bruno Fernandes that amount of space to operate, I think he's going to be devastatingly hard to control. And yeah, I think he could. I still is a bold prediction from my end. I think he could get close to what Gundogan or Sterling will haul in 2 games from that one particular fixture. So that's the reason I said it's not between Gundogan and Sterling for me. It's between Gundogan, Sterling, and Bruno Fernandes. I haven't still decided yet. Yeah.
I think it is, and I'll just give you just a little bit of numbers just to support this Bruno pick, even though I'm not going to go for him. If we look at West Brom over the season, the last 6, sorry, I should say, home and away, 1.89, second worst expected goals conceded. Over the season at home, worse, 2.33. Big chances conceded, it's equal second worst over the last 6 games, 2.67. Worse over the season at 3.09 at home. And shots in the box conceded, 6th worst over in the last 6, home and away, and worse over the season at home, 11.64. They are hopeless at home.
Yeah.
Hopeless.
Yeah, I quickly add one more thing. I think West Brom across the entire of the season at home ranked bottom for XG, shots on target, goals scored, and United across the season are first for goals scored, big chances, shots on target, XG. Yeah. So it's basically 1 versus 20, and I don't see it going wrong at all. Yeah.
No. Just to finish this section off, I pulled the expected anytime returns off Fantasy Football Hub, and I'm just going to give you a few percentages just to finish this section off. Sterling tops it, 84%. Anytime return this week. Mahrez 82, Jesus 82, Foden 78, Cancelo 75, Stones 68, Diaz 67, Gundo 67, Bruno 66. Going down a little bit further, Ashley Barnes 64. Let's just get that one in, and then a little bit further down, Cavani 62. So there's some. It's always interesting to look at these. I don't quite know how they predict it, but in any case, I look at it from a perspective that this tells me that it's very clear that we need 3 Manchester City, and I think we need more than 1 Manchester United player this week. That's my perspective. I think that's where we're going. So, okay, so that's the metric. Just to finish off before we go to the questions is the differential. Last week we went for Rafinha and he returned with an assist. Should have been a goal, really. He looks very, very good. And this week, my tip for a captain differential is Cavani. And I didn't put the names up, unfortunately. But anyway, Cavani's on the left of the screen you're looking at in blue. And on the right, it's Danny Ings. So I thought what I'd do is I'd just put Danny Ings up to compare him. And if you look at this, it looks pretty favourable, I think, for Cavani overall. Expected goals. It's got 0.75 goals per match. Expected goals 0.62. Big chances 1.5. He looks to me like a very, very good chance. He only played. I think he played
6 of the last 8.
He did, but he only played a short. I think he played 34 minutes or something like that against West Ham. I'm not quite sure. I think it wasn't a great deal of time.
He was at halftime against Southampton as well.
Yeah. But Martial played 120 minutes. So if we look at it that way, I think you're basically saying that. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty useful for Cavani. Form 0.62, as I said. XA 0.19, so an XI of 0.81. So where they get that 0.82 from, I don't know. 1.5 big chances per 90, as we said. I tell you what interests me about Cavani, and I'd be interested to know what your perspective is here. Cavani might cover Bruno. And that's why I'm quite interested in Bruno. I always hark back to what I did last year, where Martial covered Bruno off quite a lot for the last few games of the season. For me, because I owned Martial and Rashford for quite a while, didn't own Bruno at all. And what I was doing is I was covering him off by covering the returns. So I'm quite interested in Cavani this week. Gabe, do you fancy a punt on Cavani?
So I was looking to see who I would bring in for my DCL replacements, and Cavani definitely stands out. Not just because of this fixture against West Brom, but Cavani. If we hold on, I lost the matchups here, but they have West Brom, and then there's another easy fixture in 25. Is that right?
Newcastle. I think it's Newcastle.
Right.
Yeah.
West Brom, Newcastle, and then they have a nice double. So
they've got one. I think one of the games. I might be mistaken, but I think one of the games might be against. Is it against Palace?
Yeah, just a minute. I'll just look at it.
Yeah. In the double.
I've not got the pictures up in front of me at the moment.
So.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we'll have to go to the.
We can have a look anyway. We can just have a look whilst we're just chatting around. But I'm pretty certain it's Palace, and the other one will be Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Chelsea, yeah.
So I mean, and I think it's useful for us to look at kind of the next 2 game weeks or 3 game weeks as blocks, and so we kind of ride the best matchups and in the best situations.
Yeah,
I think Cavani as a block of 2 games and then the double. I think United is just a really great. Right now is the time to invest in United. Now, I was comparing him with Richarlison because if DCL is going down, I do expect Richarlison to start at the 9. However, they do have Josh King, who's been getting some game time. He could start at that 9. Richarlison could play wide. DCL could be back for that second game. So that's something that uncertainty. And DCL would only be for 1 game week, whereas Cavani would be for several moving forward. So I really like the Cavani pick, and I'm almost certain I'm doing like my 2 transfers will be Mendy to Pope and DCL to Cavani.
Okay.
2 transfers this week.
Fantastic. Okay. So just to summarize before we move to the questions, so that's where we are this week. We've nearly got a clean sweep. Gundogan Metric, Gundogan Community, Gundogan Cat, Differential, Cavani. So, okay, so on to the questions. So, alrighty. I'll start with, whilst we're just looking down the questions in the comments, I'll just start with one question which we got off Twitter. And I think we'll start with FPL Banger. So we've got Siva, who has been on the show. And Sam, I'm not sure. I think it's Siva who looks after the Twitter account. I'm not sure. But he came up with the question: best DCL replacements for a 1-week punt. Are we sticking with Cavani as the best 1 week?
Yeah.
I don't think he's a 1-week punt. That's the only caveat I would throw in there. I think he's the best replacement.
No.
Yeah, you could argue that he's good for a few weeks. You don't necessarily have to take him out. I think the only thing is that he might be holding that slot where you might want Danny Ings to come in the following week.
Yeah.
He's that price point, isn't he?
So go with the Little Prince.
Yeah.
Reed.
Fair enough. Well, I don't know about that.
Not the best 1-week punt.
No. And another question, just whilst we're on this, Siva gave us another question as well. Is it worth moving one Manchester City defender out to get a second attacker in? I think we've covered this, and I think the answer is no.
Yeah.
Agreed. No.
I think the fact that they start with 6 points, so that itself is a no-go.
And with those percentage odds as well, as we've said, 60 or 70, high 60s, low 70s with respect to being, for a anytime return, then, I think that's a fairly reasonable.
But also we're at a time in the season where we're trying to kind of maximize doubles, so our transfers are more precious than ever because we're trying to kind of play that game. So I wouldn't make a transfer like that.
No. I'm just going to put this one up on the screen just to say we've got another one. There's loads of questions coming in for Cavani, Ings, or Richarlison. Well, I think we're all settled on Cavani now, I think, aren't we? Even though, Gabe, you did try to troll me earlier on with a Richarlison shout.
I tried.
Yeah. I'm not taking that one. No way. Right. Okay. Just moving down now. Look for some more questions. There's quite a few. There's lots of people on as well. We've got Nima on today, Gabe, as well.
Yeah.
Hi, Nima. FPL Escapades are on. Thavindra Raj. Hi, mate. We've got
there.
Yeah, Gabe. What would you like to comment on this? Vardy and Barnes could exploit the Liverpool high line.
Look, the only thing Barnes can't exploit anything.
This wasn't. I didn't deliberately troll you with that one. I just thought I'd just throw that one up there. If nothing else, it gives me an opportunity to look for more questions whilst you're losing your mind at the other side of the world. It's
fair play. If I'm going to bring up Richarlison, I think it's fair that other people get licensed to bring up Barnes.
Here's one for you guys. All these mentions on me, Tarkowski, Loughton, etc. Any thoughts on Peters? 2 assists in the last 4. Where's Taylor?
He's soon is what Scene Dash has been telling since December. I don't know when that soon will come in. So maybe if that's the case, he might miss out. So you don't want to bring in a player for a double game week and then see them miss out playing twice. So that's the reason not a lot of talk is on Peters.
Yeah, it's interesting.
For me, like I said, I think Charlie Taylor is expected back sometime during the double. He could start the second game or something like that. Yeah. So Peters is a risk that he doesn't start both games. But also, I think, like I said before, I think when we're talking about attacking potential of Burnley defenders, it's just for me, it's the wrong conversation. You can't expect any attacking returns from any Burnley player.
No. Hence my view of going for Loughton.
Cheap.
Yeah, if I'm going to go that way. Here's just a general comment from Nihal. Why is everyone looking past Sterling? If you have Sterling and Gundo, captain Sterling any day. Tore TAA to shreds. And the goal against Swansea. I didn't see the goal against Swansea. Obviously.
No, that was a very good goal. Yeah.
Trials and tribulations have been the other side of the world.
Yeah, that's...
Right, okay. And just quickly rattling down. Oh, here we go, Gabe. You've moved up. It's only fair that you're no longer at the bottom position of the things, right? that's Simeon. That's pure luck. The only person who stays at the top is me.
Yeah, that's me. Can you guys see me?
Yeah, you're stuck at the bottom this time.
I don't know. I think it's a better looking setup when I'm at the bottom and my face is better.
And Sean, forwards are DCL, Antonio, and Cavani. What to do with the first 2? I have 5 million to spend and looking to wildcard in game week 30. That's an interesting question. So DCL is possibly back, isn't he? But for the second game.
Yeah.
So could we hold DCL? I suppose we could.
I mean, the second game is City, right?
Yeah.
You're holding DCL for the second game, which is City. Then next week they play Liverpool.
Yeah. No.
He's the easy sell for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, you're actually very, very good point.
But then he has funds to do Kane. Yeah, Kane in 26. So I think, he could go Ings or someone like that for this week. And then Ings again pays a double in 25. And then move Ings to someone like Kane in 26. I think that makes the maximum out of this slot. Yeah, that would what I would do.
And just whilst we're on it, Antonio, what to do with him? I mean, West Ham's fixtures do turn, and of course, they're not doubling, are they?
Yeah.
So, is it time to say goodbye to farewell to players like Antonio? And I'm going to throw in Kufal, and I'm also going to throw in our good friend Soucek.
Yeah.
Is it time to say goodbye?
I mean, for me, I think Antonio, when he's fit and he's ready to play, I think his stats are so good and his price is so affordable that I would hold Antonio through tough matchups. So I could sell him for a hit this week, for example, but rather than doing that, I'm going to wait to see. I actually don't expect him to be healthy on Monday. I don't think he'll start, based on kind of how he was holding his leg after the injury last week, and that takes a little while to recover from. But I want to see. I'm not in a hurry to get rid of him either. So I'm going to see next week if he's still kind of the same. Then I may go Antonio to Bamford or something like that.
Yeah.
But this week I think the priority is to get rid of DCL and then take care of Antonio.
I think longer term for me, I'm looking at Watkins as a possible replacement for Antonio. To be honest with you. I can't see myself getting rid of Bamford anytime soon. I like Bamford. I just think he's price wise is about as good as value wise is about as good as it gets. So it may be that Watkins might make an appearance at some stage in my team as well. Okay, so fairly expected question here. Replacement from Navin. Replacements for Justin, anyone? Between Dallas and Shaw, which one is a better pick for the coming game weeks? And he's got 5 million to spend on a replacement. Is Shaw just under 5, or is he just over?
4.9.
Shaw is 4.9.
4.9. Okay. I mean, the obvious thing is obviously Dallas has got a double game week and is out of position. Whereas Shaw has 2 very, very good fixtures. This is a tough one, Gabe. What do you think?
I mean, for me, I'm not so interested. I mean, for me, it's not that tough because I give it to Shaw because Shaw has 2 easy fixtures, but then he has a double, whereas Dallas does not have a double in 26. Yeah. Dallas has his double in 25. And United are just a better defensive unit, and Shaw has been attacking as much, if not more, than Dallas recently. So I would lean Dallas here as a better long-term pick that you can trust will get some clean sheets in good fixtures. Whereas Dallas, you're not sure if he'll get any. You don't know when or if he'll get clean sheets.
No. But he is playing out of position, of course.
He is playing out of position. Yeah.
Dallas. That's one thing which is obviously very interesting. I mean,
in
to
a
be
way,
honest with you,
Shaw is as well in a way because he doesn't.
Yeah, well, no, he is, isn't he?
He doesn't come back in the box. Maguire covered for him, so Shaw kind of stays pretty high up that field. So,
so yeah, any view?
I think I would agree with Gabe over there.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have lots of wildcard questions coming in, I'm afraid, things like this. So I will just put one on the screen. But I think from Nihal again, what do we think of this strategy? Wildcard 24, bench boost 25, triple captain 26. Get Aston Villa, Saints, and Spurs. Well, I mean, I'll start on this one. Wildcarding in 24, we're not going to know the fixtures for 26 until 25, right? So whilst it is a bit of a punt, but I can see why he's thinking about it. Because if you get your wild card played, that then allows you to play your chips. And I've got to be honest with you, as I say, it's like navigating a minefield trying to play your bench boost at the moment with everything that's going on. I can't wait till I play my bench boost. I really can't. I just want to get rid of it. But because of the variance in this, I think what I would say here, guys, and I don't know if you agree, is that I just think we need a little bit more clarity about what's going on in 26 and 29 before we play our wild cards. So I don't think we play it this week. I think we try and get to 25 or even hold it through. If you can hold it, even hold it through. But that would be my perspective. Surya?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like the thinking of what he's done. He's trying to go Spurs, Aston Villa, because they do have those fixtures. But then without having absolute good clarity on what's going to happen in 26, it's hard to plan. And you have held your wild card till so far. I think it's better to wait another game week and process all the data and then move forward. I think I had a conversation on this regard. This coming up, but yeah, it's better to wait. It's better to always wait and decide. Yeah.
All right, I'm wrecking my studio here. Oh my goodness! Right, okay. I think we're about through the questions actually. So I think that we'll call it a day. We've gone for 1:45 again, even though what we said was to do. We were planning on trying to cut this to 1:30, but it never happens. I think we just talk too much, guys. But anyway, so I mean, look again, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. It's greatly appreciated. Gabe, get another cup of coffee. Surya, you're going to cricket tomorrow. Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, yes.
Wow.
I got a couple of blogs to publish, but then after that, a good sleep, and then the match tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'm gonna send you some photos to annoy you. Yeah.
Well, don't send me photographs of the scorecard if it's not looking very good. Okay, that's all I'll say.
Especially that.
And just to let you know, Gabe, cricket is a funny sort of game. We'll have to try and explain it to you one day.
You're not talking about the little animals they eat in Mexico? That's not.
No.
Oh God. Oh well. So anyway, guys, thank you very much again, and we'll see you again next week. Hopefully with some green arrows and a little bit more clarity about what hopefully is coming up in game week 26. Because I think once we know that, I think we can answer a lot of these questions, and a lot of these sort of like, do we don't is become clear. And the moment that at FPL Zoo or Joe starts doing bloody flow charts, then we know it's going up, but then we know it's all going wrong. So we better just wait, I think. So all will come clear. So guys, thank you so much, and we'll catch you again next week. So that's that. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and a subscribe below, and hit the bell for notifications. You can, of course, follow myself on Twitter. It's at FPL Mariner. You can follow Gabe at FPLlens, Surya at All About FPL. And also, please do bookmark his website, which is fantastic, which is allaboutfpl.com. That's where Gabe's matchups are, and there's also much more FPL content as well. So, till the next time and the next matchups, pre-double game week, another double game week 25. Good luck. I wish you calm seas, fair FPL wins. If you're in the UK and watching this wrap up because it's freezing, if you're across here or in Asia, Gong Xi Fa Cai. Happy New Year. Good.